Hello students. So in this video, this is the fifth video of first module, and in this video I'm going to explain you on the second part of the first module. So in the previous four videos we have seen what actually is a computer system, and what are the different types of computer systems, and what are the different functional units of a computer system, how the basic operational concepts of a computer system, like how the data will be entered and how it will be processed, and again the result will be stored in the memory. And also we have seen about the performance of a computer system, and cycles, clock cycles, and performance equation, and also how to find out the rate of the program execution. So in this video we are mainly going concentrating on the machine instructions and also the programs. So how we are going to execute the programs, where actually the programs will be stored, how it will be stored, and what are the operations we are going to perform on those instructions, and how we are going to write the programs. So everything we are going to see in this second part of the first module. So we start with the memory locations and addresses, the memory operations, instructions and instruction sequencing, addressing modes, assembly languages, basic input and output operations, stacks and queues, subroutines, additional instructions, encoding of the machine instructions, and so all these things we are going to study here. First, we will move to the first subheading, that is memory locations and addresses. So here, the memory location means the memory unit where actually we are going to store some data there. It may be either the raw data which we are going to give it as an input, or it may be the processed data. Processed data means after the instructions are executed, the end result which we get, that also should be stored in the memory. So all this, where it will be stored, how it will be stored, how we are going to extract them, so everything we are going to study in this subheading. So first, the memory, actually it is subdivided into millions of storage cells. So each cell, or it is also called as a flip flop, and each of which can store only one bit of data at a time, that is one bit of information at a time. And that piece of information or bit of information, it will be able to carry only two values, either 0 or 1. And because we know that the information whatever we give, it will be converted into the machine understandable language, and the machine understandable language is a binary language. Binary language means it can accept either zeros or ones. So each group of n bits, so whatever data will be there, it has to be stored in zeros and ones. It will be stored in the storage cells. Okay, next is each group of n bits is referred to as a word of information. So that is uh, whatever bit of information will be there. If n bits are grouped together, then that group is called as a word of information, and that n is called as a word length. So how many bits will be used to form one word, that is nothing but the word length. So the word length can range, that is it may vary from 8 bits to 64 bits. So a unit of 8 bits is called as a byte. Accessing the memory to store or retrieve a single item of information, either the word or a byte, requires distinct addresses for each item location. That is, if we want to access one word or one byte, so then we have to be familiar, or we have to know the actual address of that location. So here each and every data which we are going to store in the memory, it will be placed at some particular address, and if we know that address, then we can easily fetch that data, required data. So it is customary to use numbers from 0 to 2 to the power of k minus 1 as the addresses of successive locations in the memory. So here we are making use of the address locations starting from 0 to 2 to the power of k minus 1. Okay, if 2 to the power of k will be equals to the addressable locations, then 2 to the power of k addresses constitute the address space of a computer. For example, a 24-bit address generates an address space of 2 to the power of 24 locations. That is, if we have a 24-bit address generates, that is n-bit address generator or 8-bit address generator, like that if we take. So here, for example, if we are taking 24-bit address generator, then total number of spaces created in order to store the data will be 2 to the power of 24 locations, that is 16 MB. So characters which we are going to store in the memory, they may be either the alphabets or decimal digits or punctuations, and so on. Characters are represented. So these characters, they are stored in the memory, but how they'll be represented? They'll be represented with the binary characters, that is either zeros or ones, which will be of 8 bits long, and they are called as ASCII codes. So the three basic information quantities are bit, byte, and word. The information may be either bit means a single bit, that is either 0 or 1, and byte means it will be consisting of 8 bits, and a word length may be ranging from 1 byte to 4 bytes, that is 1 to 64 bits. So it is impractical to assign distinct addresses to individual bit locations in the memory. So the address should be allocated such that all the bits will be staying together, and there will be continuous locations used for addressing the single word or single byte, and it will be easy to access those words or bytes. Okay, coming to the byte addressability. So here we are mainly concentrating on the byte addressability. In byte addressable memory, successive addresses refer to the successive byte locations in the memory. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we tell means, so 0 to 1 means 0th byte or 0th address means it will be consisting of 8 bits. If the word length is 32 bits, successive words are located at the address 0, 4, 8, with each word having 4 bytes. So depending on how many words each byte has, how many bytes each word has, so depending on that, the address will be located at addresses. Those successive words will be located at the address. So how these words will be located? So it may be of either of the one of the two forms, that is big endian assignments or little endian assignments. So we will see what is the difference between big endian and little endian assignments. Here there are two ways in which byte addresses are arranged. Big endian assignments means lower byte are used for the most significant bytes of the word. So here you can see. So this is the most significant byte, and this is the least significant byte. So what they have told here is lower byte address are used for the most significant bytes of the word. So here you can see. So 0 will be the most significant byte. 0, 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7. So how we are going to address it is lower byte addresses are used for the most significant bytes of the word. So here 0, 4, and these are the least significant bits, and these are the most significant bits. We are making use of least significant bits in order to represent the word here. Okay, so this is the big endian assignment. Little endian is opposite of that. They are arranged in reverse order, that is 3, 2, 1, and 0. It starts from right to left, whereas here it starts from left to right. So we can say here the most significant bit will be lower byte addresses are used for the least significant bytes of the word. So in both the cases, byte addresses 048 are taken as the address of the